Oleo Decado! Am I saying that right? Maybe. Damn you, Decade! My first S.H.Figuarts was Decade, with the Violent Emotion one, which is like a slightly upgraded version with better proportions, but it lacked the rider cards. My first Henshin DX Henshin belt was Decade. The reason I'm getting Gambai cards was Decade. My first Super Best Selection belt was Decade. My first CSM was Decade. So, ooh, you're one nasty piece of work, Decado. I'll be remembering you, you destroyer of worlds. But anyway, you can see here I also picked up 2 copies of Decade version. Yeah, I'm going to call it version 3.0 really. Real skeleton version of S.H.Figuarts Decade. They will be releasing, of course, all of the Heisei main forms in this line as well, and they will be releasing Rising Mighty for Cougar. I have no doubt that they'll be releasing every form Cougar all over again. So, but to be fair, the old Cougar is not good compared to the new versions of S.H.Figuarts. And they're also releasing the Ultimate form, which I have pre-ordered from the Hong Kong Bandai Tamashii Web, which was for $480. This is also the same price, so I spent almost 1,000 Hong Kong dollars getting 2 of these. I did get about 10, 20 Hong Kong dollars less because I bought both, as well as the Kamen Rider Guide board game, but still. So yes, 2 of these. Why did I get 2? Well, just like the other Decade, I intend to paint one of them into Dark Decade, and I'll be using the one that's slightly less, not the one that's not as good in terms of quality control, because according to online, other people have been having a lot of troubles with these, including these are the troubles that I've seen online. I'll try to get the photos back from the Facebook fan group, the S.H.Figuarts Hong Kong fan group. Problem number 1 I remember was a small piece of hair or dust stuck behind the compound eye plastic, and that's terrible. Problem 2, one of the bars on the helmet was not glued on straight. And I've seen people with really bad molding cuts, really bad paint going out of line. And just when you have a Kamen Rider figure where the most important things are the helmets or the belt, and you have a belt that's slightly mispainted, yikes. And I've heard one person say that the problem was probably because of Chinese New Year, so the staff were away from the factory and not checking it, and as soon as you're not checking those Chinese factories, they will cheap out and not quality check properly and just here's some figures done. So be careful about that. And that's so a lot of people having problems with Decade. I've also seen a lot of people having no problems with Decade. So I've had a look at both my figures, and I can tell you right now, both mine are okay. There's still a few little bit of niggles that I'll show you in a moment, but for the most part they are okay. Anyway, just like all the other figures in this line of box, it's in a very fancy style with a silver print on the side, Master Rider Decade, S.H.Figuarts logo, and same on the bottom and on the other side. Tape on each side to hold the top down, but the whole box is very smooth, very nice to touch. Of course, this is the Hong Kong edition, so it has a sticker there, and of course it has a profile image of the rider there. And since I have it handy just to compare, this is the Cougar box, the original. The first one they released was Kabuto and Hibiki, and then Cougar and Agito. So far there's been 5, and yeah, you can see the box art is very similar. Alright, opening this up, you have the top tray that of course houses the figure, and it does have a plastic shell here. Just this doesn't go back on properly. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but this doesn't seem to want to fit back. Anyway, it comes off, and you have a Decade figure in there, and underneath you have all the accessories. You have, apart from the fist hands already on the Kamen Rider Decade figure, you have relaxed hands, item holding hands, slightly slanted item holding hands, card holding hands, as well as a kind of pointy card holding hand. So I'm just going to remove the top tray here. So again, this one needs to be a little bit more careful because there's lots of small parts in here. And yeah, you got card holding hands, and yeah, and you have a pack of cards here. They're all been pre-punched, pre-cut. I mean, so you can just easily push them out. One of the cards is actually falling out there, and you have the belt buckle in open mode, so you can actually remove the white part of the belt, plug it on this, and then you have an open one. Violent Emotion head, of course. You have the Riot Booker and sword, gun, and just normal Booker mode. let's take a quick look at the accessories as well as compare them to some of the original accessories from the original Decade. So of course you have the extra violent emotion head. I have my custom Dark Decade there. You can see the head there is so much smaller, and of course I put the violent emotion Decade head on the actual figure. But anyway, yeah, the new figure is taller as well, having a bigger head, and of course you have to have the transparent gem on top there, whereas the old version had the solid painted colored version. I didn't paint that yellow, that's how it is, so yellow or purple will be solid color. If you look at the side there, it's definitely a lot better. The cut of the helmet there is a bit better than the original. So, a bigger head, well, bigger figure in general. Of course, the belt can now be in open or closed mode. Note that the Decade word on this belt buckle is actually etched in. It's not just the word Decade is not just printed there, it's actually molded in. Whereas on the original, it didn't have that there. Wasn't even printed in or molded in, it was just not there. Yeah, as well as having the little color dots printed on there. And of course, if you look at the actual figure, the belt now actually has the Kamen Rider logos all printed there. Now, it's hard to see, it's really small, but I can tell you they are printed very well. As well as just having a better shape overall compared to the old one. But we'll look at that momentarily. So, and of course you get all the cards. Now the original had cards as well, but you had to cut them out yourself and they're printed on cardboard. Whereas the cards here, I'll flash up a photo of it in a second, but they come on a plastic tray. And I say tray because this sheet, I push all the cards out, but you can see there's a thin layer of plastic here. There's actually a plastic sheet underneath. And all of these cards sit very comfortably on top of this plastic sheet. And the cards themselves are laminated. They are plastic sheets, so you got that going on. Of course, in terms of cards, we have all the main Heisei riders, as well as all of Decade's main attack ride, as well as final attack ride DD Decade cards there. So we got that going on. I remember the old one, I think it had the same amount of cards, I'm not quite sure, because I never had the original Decade. The Violent Emotion Decade figure did not come with any cards, and which was quite annoying. So yeah, we've got both of these characters have fists, of course. Here's let's see, fists. Oh, okay, the fist is still on the figure. And here's an old fist, and the fists on the new version of Decade are actually a lot smaller. I guess that works out better in terms of proportion. You see right there, and the detailing is also a lot more fine than the old version of the figure. So the old figure had the fists on the figure. So you got the fists, both of them have fists. Both of them have relaxed hands. So you got the relaxed hands. Both of them have item holding hands. So item holding hand there, and item holding hand there. The original had a slightly pointy finger hand, as well as card holding hands, which sort of look like fists, but not. You just get that. So you have these. So the card holding hand. So we got two card holding hands there. They're mixed up with the kind of pointing hand right here. So yeah, the new one doesn't actually have a pointy hand. They've combined that. And yeah, one thing this has not an item holding hand different angle. It's actually a bike hand, because I guess that means they're not going to be releasing a new bike, or if they are, it won't. They've released this hand with this figure, so you can put them on the old bike if you want to, or if they do release a new bike, that one won't come with any hands, so you can, I don't know, they've just thought about having old hands for the old bike, so that's good. That's good that they included that. They didn't have to, but they did, and I'm glad they did. Finally, we get to the ride bookers. We'll look at the sword mode first. Here are both of the swords. You can see the new one is actually printed more accurately. The old one is just silver overall and just has doesn't have white printed around the edge, and it doesn't even have the Decade logo, as well as this line molded all the way across, whereas the new one has the flat black there. You can see they are both, yeah, the new one's a bit bigger and the old one's a little bit longer. The new one has black painted into there, but I think the paint job isn't too good on the black there. I think they messed up that a little bit, so that's kind of a little bit annoying. And quick look on the back. You can see the new one has a pin there, so you can pin this onto Decade's belt if you want to in sword mode, but I'm not really sure why you would want to do that. I think I should have left that roll alone. And on the front here, see the old version doesn't have green, black there, or printed, or a hole in the gun. Whereas here, there's the green, black paint as well as a hole in the gun. So yeah, let's go to the actual Ride Booker in gun mode. Same differences apply really, just more detail, finer details overall, as well as more stuff printed on. And on this side, this one also has the pin on it. And finally on the front. Now the old one does have a gun hole, but the new one has that as well, because again it's a lot finer detail. So, and finally the Booker in book mode. Again, the same differences apply on the front and the back. And this one, actually in terms of scale, it's much. The new one is pretty consistent in terms of scale. You can see this one here. They changed the shape and coloring a little bit depending on what you want to do with this. If I just get the old sword or gun in, you can see that the sizes are different. Whereas the new Decade has a consistent size of Ride Bookers. Because since this is in book mode, both of them have the pins for the belts. And the old one has a figure pin, the new one has a thinner pin, and I hope it's durable. And the old one's pin actually has a bump on it, so it does actually peg into the belt, like a Lego hand into an arm. As the new one is just a peg, so it can probably fall out a lot easier. The old one, you can open it up in book mode, but you can see here there's nothing in this, just flat. Whereas the new one, if you open that in book mode, you can see all the details are actually molded in there. Now you can't actually, you can probably put one card there, but it will fall out. So you can't actually pull any cards out, which is, damn it, you're almost there, Bandai. If you just add a little hole there, you can probably stick a card in there. So you can't do that, but still, the details are pretty good. And yeah, so overall, in terms of the Booker stuff, the new ones are a lot better. But the new ones have the same amount of accessories as the old one, if not one extra pair of bike holding hands. But the new one does combine card holding hands with a pointy hand, so the old one actually has one extra accessory, which is one extra hand for pointing. Yeah, that's something. Now we're gonna compare both figures, and I'm sorry, the new one is just, oh boy, it makes the old one look kind of stupid. First of all, is the overall size. Since this is based on an actual skeleton structure inside, the size makes a lot more sense. The hands are smaller, the arms are shorter. The old one always looked like he had arms that are far too long for what's going on. And I mean, without the new one to compare to, this one isn't bad, but when you see the new one, it just, oh boy. One great thing about the new one is the belt is removable from the rest of the torso, like it's not attached to the torso piece, whereas the old belt was actually fully attached to this hip piece, so you couldn't do any Kamen rides with the old figure, which was just a bit silly. I always thought that was silly, and I'm glad they fixed that. The old one does have die-cast feet, but I guess the new one can stand quite well. Molding detail on the bottom of the feet, it's actually pretty good. The new one is, well, good too. So I'm not quite sure about the feet though. Now if I can swap the feet around, I do kind of like keeping die-cast feet, but the new one does hide the joints a lot better. So in terms of visually, the new feet of course are better, but the old one of course he can stand a lot better since he has heavy feet. And the belt is so much better on the new one. Not only does it have more paint details, more printed details, overall better shape compared to the actual belt, as well as etched in Decade, the word Decade on top of the belt there. You can actually open it, like swap the pieces around so it's in open mode, as well as the deco driver does actually have a slit in there, and you can stick a card in it. Now the card will fall out. It won't get stuck in there or anything. So you put them on the side, the card will fall out. So that's something. And sticking it in there is more of a gimmick and just something that they left in there just for you to play with. Because while the red plastic there is transparent, you can only see through it under extreme amounts of light. So for the most part, you're not going to see the card in there. The logo's not going to show up. I guess some people customize figures. You probably find a way to sand that down to a very thinner layer, maybe. Then you can see the card inside, but otherwise you're not going to really see the card. You're more likely going to see the little purple barcode sticking out of the side. So I probably won't stick any cards in there for any photo shoots or any reason, because you're not going to see it. Another great thing about this, the new one that's improved, you got to actually color the joints, where here's just black and just kind of cuts the suit up a little bit. It isn't that noticeable. It isn't as noticeable as something like the Kamen Rider double figure, where you had black joints on the green side, Cyclone side, or any other color. So it's good that with the new version, and that means most likely the new version of Cyclone Joker will have printed joints. That'd be great. And the shoulder pads do not have an obvious pin showing up. It's covered up. That's great. And of course, more paint details on the inside joints there. You don't have the joints showing up on the side. And these knee pads are actually printed now. This one is not colored, so there's some details missing there. And finally, the compound eyes on the new one is a lot brighter. Light shines through a lot better. Almost look like it's actually turned on, the eyes, as this one is very dark. Compound eyes, and of course the pieces are a lot more detailed than the old one. Quick look on the back. If I do put them up, yeah, the whole shoulder pad shape has been completely redone. And of course, his butt's not shiny. It looks more like a suit, whereas the old one is very, very shiny overall. Sorry, old Decade, you just don't quite stack up to the new one. So, let's bring in this bike and see how well he can sit on it. So in terms of swapping hand, let me just try and swap his hands, see how hard that is. Okay, his hands are a little bit tight. Let me just get the right hands for bike holding. Oh. Yep, a little bit too tight. Not as tight as Olga that I just filmed, but definitely a little bit worrying when swapping hands. I'll give him his right hand can have a weapon holding hand, so he can hold his sword. Come on. Yeah, definitely tight. Actually no, I can hold the Booker in gun mode. Oh, fits in there very snugly, very tight. That's good. So he can hold the gun very secure. Let me just move his legs up. Now people did say, since the bike was designed for the old Decade, the new one, it's gonna look a little bit big. Yeah, he's looking a bit big on this one. Come on, hand plug in. Now, I'm slightly convinced that this hand is probably made for a new bike that's coming along, version 2.0 bike, because it's, yeah, this one fits very tight on this. Damn swappable bike stuff. And there you go. Yeah, he's definitely a bit too big for the old bike. Articulation time, double neck joint, so down, up, full rotation, sideways, sideways. Shoulder pads are of course on, just like the other wheel skeleton ones, they're on a little ball peg that's on a little arm that comes out. So these have very good articulation. It's on a little ball socket, arm goes up, very up, full rotation on the top here, and full rotation on the bottom here. Because once you rotate it, you can't bend the arm as much, but there's full rotation here. Got full rotation on the hands, and a little ball peg, and a little swiveling arm joint. Double elbow joint, of course. Top part of the joint is a little bit tight, but it's definitely movable. Ball joint, so lots of movement there. Down, whoop, a bit too down. Come on, step back on. Down, back, sideways, sideways. I love how the suit doesn't break apart no matter which way you point him, and that's really good. And I'm loving the different colors on these. Leg doesn't really go down, so up, back, sideways, full rotation. No, not full rotation. Actually no, yeah, full rotation here. Whoops. Hey, it's on a little ball joint. That's cool. Oh, whoops. Dark Decay. Actually, no. This is going to be really good for painting him into Dark Decay. That won't be a pain like the old one. Leg double joint there. Foot is on a swiveling joint. Sideways, sideways, and up, back, and toe goes 70 degrees, I'd say. Move that down. Is it not going back down? Go back down. There we go. Bit tight. Foot there. And really, the only articulation he can't do like the old one is he can't fold his arms as much as the old one. Apart from that, he's got the rider kick down. He's got that going good. And the gun just fell out. Oops. Yeah, that's one thing that the old one will not have. The gun is packed in a lot more secure than the new one, but hey, there you go. This version of Decade is a huge upgrade from the original. Some of the figures I do wonder if when they come out there'll be a huge difference when comparing to the original. For example, I thought the Ryuki figure, while the joints and stuff always fall off and stuff, the actual look of the figure is pretty good. And when I look at stuff like Blade's a really good figure, or Deno seems good enough. The newer S.H.Figuarts, I wonder how different the newer S.H.Figuarts are going to be from their newer version. Now of course DK, Cougar and Agito have all been, and Kabuto have been really old S.H.Figuarts. Hibiki never had an S.H.Figuart to come out, so of course going straight into this version of Hibiki was a good way to do it, I think. And just skipping, and they're also going to be skipping the original just base form Kifa S.H.Figuart and go straight into the real skeleton one. I think those are good moves, because now that we know this new brand is out, why would we buy just normal version? So up till now, all of the re-releases of characters that already have been done in this new subline have been S.H.Figuarts from his original years, where the quality is definitely different from what we expect from S.H.Figuarts today. So the figures are all have been so far huge improvements from the original. All of them look great, unless you get a badly painted one. So both the DKs that I have don't really have any paint issues. There's a little bit of a white issue at the bottom of the Decker driver, just a little bit, but that's an easy fix, I guess. I don't really need to fix it. It's more of a nitpick, really. I have overall no problems with any of the paint jobs on my Decades, and the plastic cutting seems to be okay overall. Now, there is a little bit of paint, the paint isn't too even where the plastic does cut, so but most of that is not really noticeable, and I guess on the edge of the arms where the white meets the black, there's a little bit of issue there, but it's not too bad. I think the biggest problem with the DK figure is the price. That people pay for the price for this. They expect a better figure, but they're getting not really that much of an improvement, because the price for these, most of them have been being sold for at least 400 Hong Kong, or up to 400 or 500 Hong Kong dollars. I paid a little bit more for mine, so I'm a little bit annoyed. So yeah, for the price that most people are paying for this DK figure, they're expecting something a lot better. And so while this figure isn't bad, it's definitely a disappointment for the price point that you're getting. However, all is forgiven when you see how much better this figure is compared to the original. Without the original to compare to, you probably think this is kind of bad figure when comparing it to other new S.H.Figuarts, because we've had quite a lot of good S.H.Figuarts to come out recently. So when comparing this to those, then yeah, there's a bit of an issue, especially when you can get much cheaper S.H.Figuarts for equal quality. Kamen Rider Zango was pretty good. Update Drive was okay for the most part, and a lot of the Gaim stuff looked really good. So when you compare it to those, the Decade one definitely comes a little bit of disappointment. However, as a figure on its own, it's actually not bad. If the price drops down to under 400 Hong Kong dollars, I say definitely pick this up. If you are a Kamen Rider DK fan or Kamen Rider fan in general, pick this up when the price drops down, because it is actually a really good figure. Unlike some of the other previous figures in this line, I don't feel like the articulation is restricted or the figure will break apart. When I compare the new version of Cougar to the old one is definitely a lot more playable. I can definitely feel like just throwing that around and messing on the joints. I don't feel like breaking that. Whereas the new version of Cougar, I feel like I had to be kind of gentle with it, with the joints being a bit tight. Not with DK. DK's joints are pretty good overall, and I feel like he didn't cross the line into complete collector's territory and does still feel like a toy figure that I can play around with. So they have definitely improved from the previous figures in this line, and yeah, I look forward to the next releases in this line. I look forward to Rising, hopefully there's a slight improvement of Rising Mighty Cougar as well as Ultimate Cougar, and I look forward for the other Heisei riders that will come out in this line, and yeah, definitely recommend this rider. Oh, as well as the DN figure that they kind of teased, but I'm not sure if they're actually releasing that. You never know with these figures, sometimes they tease them and never release them. So I do hope they release the DN one, but if they do have to go through and release every version of Cougar again, I'm going to be annoyed, but I'm going to be picking them up as well, because like I said, they are definitely a huge improvement from the original. Ugh. If you found this video useful or enjoyable, please consider clicking the like button, subscribe button, or also leaving a comment below on how you feel about this subline, and if you will replace your original DK with this one or not. Some people did say that they prefer the paint job of the DK that I compared to in this video, because they say the paint job on the original DK was not good. Final Emotion had better paint job, and they said this one is okay but not as good as the middle one. I don't know, I like the lighter color, I like the tone of this one, to be honest. And of course, you can check out my other videos. I've reviewed so many S.H.Figuarts on my channel. Please watch them without ad block. I would appreciate that a lot. Or check out Patreon if you want. And most importantly, take care, have a nice day. I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye now.